In this video, I will be talking about wide-angle macro photography. What is it and why you may want to use it. So, let's get into it. This video will be in two parts, the first part being about what wide-angle macro photography is, and then in the second part, I'll jump out into the field and give you some real-world examples of why it's great, frustrating fun. So, first things first, wide-angle macro photography is quite tricky and a tad maddening. It has a bit more of a steep learning curve, more so than a normal macro lens, but used correctly, it can be quite a creatively rewarding experience. It is also very different from your normal macro lens, as it allows you to include more of the scene into your images. Simply put, you will see more of the background and environment, which is great for capturing wildlife in the landscape. However, like all wide-angle lenses, you need to get closer to your subject. Wide-angle macro photography is no different, and compared to normal macro lenses, the working distance will be a lot closer. And I mean a lot closer. For this video, I will be using the Laowa 15mm f4 lens. There are other options out there, but this is generally the best and most affordable lens for wide-angle macro photos. This Laowa 15mm allows for 1x magnification. To achieve this level of magnification, the working distance is an incredible 4.7mm. Let me just say that again, 4.7mm. This is both the good and bad parts of wide-angle macro photography. Now let's take a look at the different perspectives between these two macro lenses. First up, the Laowa 100mm lens. Now, I'm not shooting at 1:1 magnification here, just something to get this entire flower in the scene. This is a nice, tight composition of a single flower. Looks great, but doesn't really give you an idea of the environment that this plant lives in. Now let's shift gears here and try the Laowa 15mm. I'm not shooting at 1:1 magnification, so I'm at more of a comfortable working distance here. Now look at the scene. You can get a much clearer idea of the environment where this flower is located. After doing nothing but wide-angle macro photography for the past couple of months, I've come to find some techniques that just look really great. Firstly, even though this is a macro lens, I don't use a flash a lot of the time. When I do use a flash, it's only to light a darker scene. I love to shoot wide-angle images with a bit of backlighting. Early morning or afternoon produces fantastic results. Because of this, I like to include sunstars in these images too. Shooting at f8 and up produces such lovely and clean sunstars, which is just a nice look. In these situations, I do utilize my flash just to light the scene. I find this combination produces very interesting and very engaging imagery. I also try to include some of the sky into my wide-angle images, just to give that depth and grand sense of scale for being inside the insect world. So, enough words. Let's get out into the field and let me show you some of these techniques in real time. So I'm out in my veggie patch here, got the 15mm ready to go. I've got a basil plant here that has fallen over with the strong winds over the last couple of days, but it's still flowering, and there are bees everywhere. There's flies, there's European honeybees, native Australian bees, wasps, everything is happening. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the 15mm and I'm going to stick this right into it. Now I've got a UV filter on the front of the lens here just to protect it from any scratches that may happen if I stick it too deep in here. But I'm not using a flash, I'm not using a tripod, I'm just going to be burst shooting. So I'm just going to carpet bomb the entire thing, see what I can get, just manually focus as I go. Stuff may be in focus, stuff may not be in focus, but that's half the challenge with this lens. So I'm going to get into this and end up overdosing on the smell of basil. So it's a shame that smell-o-vision doesn't exist. But anyway, maybe down the track. But let's get to it. Okay, so I'm shooting high-speed burst here. I've got some link spot. Let me just start shooting because there's so much action kicking on here. The idea that I want is I want to get some shots looking up, try and catch the sky. It's a bit of an overcast sky, so I can't really get any sun stars, but that's all right. I may get the fence and probably the roof of the house in, but you know, it's super wide and I may be able to crop in later, but let's start shooting, see what I can get. Now there's two grasshoppers here. There's a brown one in here and a green one in here. Where the brown one is located would be a perfect shot with your standard macro lens because he's covered in foliage. If I try and get close, he's going to bolt. I might try it. There's a green one here. I may come around this way. There's so much more you got to factor in with a wide angle macro lens. It's very hard because you start casting shadows on the subject when you're so close to it. Just the nature of this lens, isn't it? All right, I'm just going to shoot vertically up, looking directly up. The goal to try and create a sense of scale of how these insects live. There's a nice bee here. Try and get him in focus. That's all you can really do is just stick your head in the shrub and just mash the shutter button down. It is a lot of fun. I'm finding it very therapeutic just to shoot anything I see, but it's the focusing is the tricky part. I'm shooting at f8 without a flash, so it gets a little bit dark, and especially at a faster shutter. But this focusing, I don't know if it's the camera or the lens, but you have to be so perfect with the focusing. When it lines up perfectly, beautifully sharp images, but for the most part, there's more misses than hits. But what I might do is sort of try and find any sort of spiders in here, sort of capture them inside the foliage and see where I go. It means I have to stick my head deep into here, but hey, if it gets the shot, it gets the shot. I can see a lynx spider just here, so see how it goes. If you notice how far I had to get into the scene here just to get a nice close-up shot. It's very, very difficult, very frustrating, but when you nail the shot, it looks really, really cool. I've just found a small praying mantis here. The more that I focus on one area, the more it comes alive. I'm seeing, oh, there's a crab spider here, other smaller sort of fruit fly looking things. It's just nuts. There's so much life here just in this basil shrub. So let me try and get this praying mantis shot. It's going to be very difficult with this lens because he's very little, but it's always a challenge, isn't it? Let's try it. Now that brown grasshopper is back and I'm going to get a shot of him. So I think he's a little bit terrorized because he just saw his mate get eaten by a magpie that I saw probably about 10 minutes ago. Just annihilated him on the lawn back there. So I don't think I can come above him. I may have to shoot maybe this direction or through here. Let's do it. So he's run under a leaf, and I'll try and get this shot here because he looks quite scared. One of the good things with this lens is it makes you think differently for compositions, because it's such a challenge to shoot this wide and you have to get so close. So it's about angles, it's about leading lines, something that'll tell the story of the subject. So that's wide-angle macro photography, an extremely tricky and frustrating but creatively rewarding way to create visually striking images. If you really want a challenge and want to push your macro photography to the next level, I would highly suggest giving this a go. As usual, thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.